The Degenerate has arrived to a messy conference room on the 11th floor of Entercom Tower. I am RJ Choppy. This is Bo from the Football Glory Hole, and this is the first ever Degenerate Football podcast. For 15 years, I've been giving away Degenerate picks. Finally, we get video and behind the scenes on how we do it to actually prove it. What a start. What a start for the Football Glory Hole and the Degenerate. 18-5-1 when you count all the college football that's been going on, including 1-0 in the NFL. How did you guys come with Green Bay plus 3.5?
So Green Bay last night was plus 3.5 in Chicago. If you look at the trend lines we put together for the season and projections of which way the teams are going to go, in about 8 weeks or so, if it goes the way our projections say, Green Bay would actually be a 3-point favorite in that game at Soldier Field. So if you think about buying a 3-point favorite, you get to catch 3 points on the other side. Can't pass up that deal ever. Very easy call for us on that one. And that one's actually put us 1-0 in the Super Contest, baby.
Yeah.
1-0.
Can't wait for that one because when that hits all for the entire year, that's going to be big time. But this is not, what we do is not just a couple of guys picking games. There's computer models that Bo goes through and deals with all the trends, and they kind of take all that data, depending on how you like to say it. I'm a data guy. He might be a data guy, but you put all together, and then that's where they're able to come up with these numbers. So we got a few selections for you today. Let's start with college football. Stanford, USC. We like the under 45 in that.
Love the under 45 on that. It doesn't matter who David Shaw brings in as his new offensive coordinator, offensive coach. He's going to play the same old, boring, just scratch your eyes out Stanford football. You don't even want to watch it. That game, I think, was over 40 or under 48 last week. It hit 24 points on the last second when Stanford got the sack fumble. It was 10-7, 30 seconds to go. They fall out in the end zone. That gets to 24 points, nowhere close to 48. And by the way, if you had Northwestern plus 6.5, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That is already the bad beat of the year. And if you're on the other side and you had Stanford minus 6.5, it's fine to celebrate in your home or maybe hand high five with your buddy. You shouldn't go out and tout about it because if you do, football Jesus will come to get you.
It's almost like the Auburn-Oregon game. That was such a lucky cover, and we both had Auburn. Minus 3.5, and that last second touchdown saved the day. LSU, Texas. Look, this is the renewal of the Texas A&M rivalry because A&M's got a big game with Clemson. Not touching that one, though. We like LSU, Texas with the number under the 56. A lot of unders here that we have today, but, I mean, let's be real. LSU's a good defense. Always has been. They've always had good secondary play. They've always had good linebacker play. They've always had good play up front. Their defense has been solid, and this team's really not any different, and I don't know that they're going to be able to score a ton anyway.
No, I mean, they're not. And even with LSU looking really good last week in their new hurry-up offense, Texas actually has a really good defense, too. They probably have the best defense in the Big 12, which is really how they beat Oklahoma in the first game last year. I know the second game, Oklahoma kind of came back and got them. But Texas is going to play really good defense. They play good defense at home. They're not going to be able to score very much on LSU and vice versa. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be sloppy. And anytime it's an ugly, sloppy game, got to take the under, especially when 56 points is involved.
Now, these are just two NCAA selections. They've got like 20 more over at the Football Glory Hole. Let's move on to the NFL. We'll give you the Cowboys Giants in a second. First, though, how do you do week one trends? There's nothing to go on. All you're going on is, well, this team is 0-3 in their last 3 week ones. Like, what does that really mean to this year's team? How do you do trends for early games in the NFL?
So some of those betting trends, we do use those, like the week one. We'll throw out a couple of those here in a second. But for the most part, the way we do it is we build projection models for what we think the teams are going to be over the course of the year. And early on, a lot of times because of a lot of public conjecture, Vegas has to value teams at certain numbers to get the money to come in 50-50. So if you're new to this, Vegas, all they want is half the money on one side and half the money on the other because they win. They collect VIG, so whatever they charge you to play the bet on your loss, they collect that. So if they got half on one side, half on the other, they win no matter what. Vegas is not a fan of anybody. They don't care. So that's a little bit where the public conjecture comes in. What we do is build models to try to sift through that. Like we said earlier about Green Bay, in all reality, once it comes to fruition, they would have been a 3-point favorite. Same thing for every game. That's what we have to rely on early on in the year. We do adjustments every week as the data starts to roll in, starts to pile that into our system, and it starts to adjust itself. Some places we're right, some places we're wrong. That's why they call it gambling, right? So, but we adjust that, and by about week 4, week 5, we're pretty locked in. So, but that's how we start out.
And sometimes you just got to go against your gut. Like I thought Detroit -2, 2.5 against Arizona was a sure bet. Computers didn't say that, so I'm like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to stay away from that game. But Indianapolis +6.5 at the Chargers. That's an interesting game because I don't know. Vegas thinks that Andrew Luck's worth about 3.5, 4 points, and they kind of gave. This is still a good Colt team. Like top to bottom, it's a good roster.
It's his best team that he would have had since he was in it, and it's not even close. So you're looking at, and that's kind of what first led me to that number and led James to that number is it didn't really adjust that much. If you looked at kind of where it opened, Andrew Luck going out, it adjusted some, but it didn't correct like the market thought that it would have. And something in that kind of led us to looking at that number. And if you look a little bit deeper, San Diego does not start off well.
And LA.
Yeah, LA.
And LA.
We still call it San Diego. Look, until you don't play in a soccer stadium, you are always going to be San Diego to us. All right, get a stadium, and then we'll respect the fact that you play in LA. But anyway, LA/San Diego, they're 1-4 in their last 5 as a home favorite. They don't do well, and that's between 3.5 points to a 10-point. If they have to lay 3.5 to 10, they're 1-4 in their last 5 at home doing that. This game they're laying 6.5, right in that. And since 2012, San Diego is a 16-23 as a home favorite. That's 41% cover with an average margin of victory of right about 5.5 points. All that leads you into that. And then early on in the season against San Diego or LA, not very good. They're 1-6-1 in their last 8 against the spread in September.
Their home field advantage, to me, the fact that this game on a neutral site is probably a little bit less. They're giving the Chargers the 2.5, 3-point home field advantage edge that they really don't deserve. Right. To me, you're basically getting a free 2.5 points. I love the Colts +6.5. And then the Cowboys Giants, this is a 7-point spread. Last year, these two teams played to a combined 8 points. They combined the margin of victory for the Cowboys. 2 wins was 8 points. I love the +7. I think the Cowboys still win the game outright, but these two teams, there's not going to be a 28-10 game here.
No, I mean, absolutely, and we do like the Cows outright, so if you want to put money on the money line for that one, the Cows are 5-1 in the last 6 straight up versus the Giants at home. They do beat the Giants here. But since 2016, the Cows are actually 9-10-1 as home favorite against the spread. As a home team overall in that same time range, 13-12-1. That's only 52% cover. That's not good enough to get your vig. If you look at the Giants as an away team, same time frame, 14-9-1. That's 61% against the spread as an away team. Giants as away dogs are 12-8-1 with a 5-point margin of loss. Both of those are in that data point. That's 60% point cover. The Giants are 7-0 against the spread and the last 7 on the road. The Cows are 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 as a favorite. They're 1-4 in their last 5 against the spread in week 1. And then if you think about the last 57 home games, the Cowboys are 18-39 against the spread as a home favorite.
Wow.
They're not very good at home as a favorite. And here's the biggest note that I just pulled this up this morning. I had to add it. Division dogs on a week 1 run. They're on a 17-4-1 run, division dogs week 1. That is a really good trend line because it's actually a smaller sample size, but it's a smaller sample size with known entities. Anytime you get a division game that's a known entity, teams' rosters change, but not too much. Coaching staffs pretty much stay the same year to year. Teams know each other's cultures way better in the division. So anytime you get a division trend line like that, that is a really, really strong trend line.
You wonder why I become such an analytic guy and a computer guy. It's because of this. 18-5-1. That's what this guy is right now so far this year in college football with 1 NFL game. You can find the picks that I'm going to throw out there at RJ Choppy on my Twitter feed. We'll put it on my Facebook page as well. Where can they find your picks and stuff?
So find us on Twitter at FBallGloryHole, at FBallGloryHole. You can find us on our webpage, thefootballgloryhole.com. You can email us info@thefootballgloryhole.com. Check out our podcast, The Football Glory Hole. You can Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, our YouTube channel, wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's go win that money, baby.
We're winning money. It's The Degenerate. The Degenerate is finally on video. You see it on Twitter. You've heard it on the radio. It's finally on video. We have got the proof now. The Degenerate exists. It's just a character, but it's real. We'll be back next week, week 2 of the Degenerate Football Podcast.